Good morning, good morning. How is everybody this morning? New Saturday, request show, poetry, um, typewriter, just naming things in the room. I have had a very weird last 24 hours. So I have been obviously extremely productive and hardworking and been pushing through and pushing through a lot of my different projects, things like that. And yesterday I kind of something in me ran out of steam. It didn't mean I was necessarily couldn't push through, but I didn't. What's the point of it? Is I didn't end up pushing through. But I was I ended up really pondering over the past 24 hours just like everything, you know. I guess I kind of ran into this aporia of feeling and emotion and thinking about humans and people, miscommunications and connection, all of that, just all of that together. Um, and that's where I've been mentally. Like I'm not saying I don't. And I was challenged recently. I might have mentioned this on the stream already, but I was challenged recently by a friend that I overthink. But I also studied philosophy, which was kind of the study overthinking. And so now, like, I feel like my whole worldview is like rocked a little bit because I don't know when I should be diving deep into those, those ideas and taking apart and spending several hours just thinking about something. And when I should just be like, okay, it's a thing, and letting it pass. And poetry is kind of like that too. I mean, it's funny because despite the fact it is so helpful for me and for other people, poetry is an unnecessary art. But all art's kind of unnecessary. Like you kind of just do things, like you don't need art to buy bread, but in a way you still need art to survive. And so art is really weird like that. I don't know. Just some musings and thoughts on the morning. Well, I have the typewriter and I have paper. I myself am not ready to write yet. What I might do is I might cut some paper because I most certainly need it. I know I have my paper cutter here somewhere. There we go. Paper cutting is actually a pretty regular process that I engage in because of the just using all that paper. I'm going to go to my closet for a quick second. I think I might be able to almost reach the box from here. I have a closet right here that I can go and dip in and get some paper. But as a result, it's not that I don't want to write. It's that I just don't. I don't know what I would write. I will wait for the prompts. I will wait for the world and the universe, potentially other people, whether they do or not, to come out of that woodwork and request. But for me, I'm not ready to put pen and paper to it yet. FMK might be hitting the nail on the head. Willpower is renewable energy, but we can deplete it. And then it takes a long time to restore. I don't know if it's willpower. I mean, most certainly I when I left that spot of willpower, I guess, yesterday. And that is what I did yesterday, is take time for rest, take time for the season of winter. I cooked yesterday. I cooked from, I don't usually cook. Usually it's like I cook quick, easy things, but yesterday I actually spent a lot of time cooking. And that was really nice. Made a really good dinner meal. In winter, everything seems gone, but all the seeds are in the ground. Indeed. Okay, indeed, indeed. I think that I think that when I left that place of willpower, because I had been living in that place of willpower probably for the past 2 weeks straight. And most times when I wasn't living in that place of willpower, I was wasting time. And so my life has always been this back and forth of willpower, wasting time, willpower, wasting time. And then sometimes finding those moments of relaxation in the middle. But yesterday I left that place of willpower and I knew I wasn't going to waste time. I just knew it. And so then I was suddenly with myself. No, yeah, but and I don't know if I, and it's a great thing about being able to kind of just chat on the stream. Is I don't know if I necessarily completely agree with that worldview. Willpower is not a place, but a storage that you were using. I definitely think that I left. You know, I definitely think that one can pull from that source of willpower more than just beyond the limitations. I mean, a lot of Akira's music is like that, and that's why I like it. And I'm not saying that necessarily, I think everybody has to agree. It's just my personal view is that you can pull from empty. And I have actually over the past 2 weeks found many instances where I pulled from empty. And it was exhilarating and extremely fatiguing at the same time. And I loved it. And I worked hard through it. And I created things as a result of that. But yesterday, I didn't pull from empty. I rested in that empty, and what revealed to me was kind of this confusion about humanity. And then I typed on the walking mall last night. MK says, yes, that's the part of Akira I do not agree with. And that's the great thing about the Mazverse is that you can pull from it different things and disagree with other things. So I completely respect your disagreement with Akira on that. Completely. That is one heck of a place to live with the soul, is in that hyper productivity and discipline. Yeah, like I will support people that believe it. I'll give them the tips and tricks that work for me, but I'm not going to ask someone that doesn't to have to live with me there, because that's a big call. But when it comes to the Seporia I was feeling, it was almost like I got this sense that things were off. Like things and people were off. And like I don't know. Like we become self-aware. Like we're on this upward trend of progress that we've been on, forever. Developing ourselves, our education, our systems, our countries, things like that. And then we have something like this happen, which totally shakes the system. And, that upward line suddenly does this. And I believe it's an upward line. So FMK is adding about the about our conversations regarding Akira and the willpower and philosophy of willpower. We've kind of gotten into this discussion of philosophy of willpower. It really sees the universe as makeable, but that is only true for a subset of people, according to me. So, are you with that? Are you saying that like it can work for some people? Because I think I can agree to that. That there are a lot of people that like it's almost like it might be both. Like, I think I could. Frankly, I transitioned maybe then from one mindset to the other, because I used to view willpower as a source, a well you pull, and eventually that well's empty, and then you have to refill the well. And then listening to Akira, some of those artists, Jocko especially, David Goggins, both of those people together probably talk about willpower as something you create and choose to create. And so that well never has to be empty, that you could run 14, 21, 28. There was a guy I know that did a 40-day complete darkness, silent retreat. It's crazy. And like, it was for some people, they have built that up over time. But for the majority of people, they can't just enter into that. So maybe that's where kind of our ideas align. That for some people, they can really embrace that Jocko lifestyle, and others just, in a way that is perfectly healthy and normal, are willpower, rest, and kind of going back and forth between the two. And I'm still not like fully transitioned on the Jocko side. Like, that's part of the interesting thing about it. I don't know, maybe that is a good unification of our opinions. And I think Femke and I have finally melded minds, that it works for a group of people in my mind. I see willpower as a well that you can refill. And there may be people that can influence that it is always full, but others will never be able to do it. And that, I think, is a perfect yeah, I think that's a perfect understanding of different people in the world. Oh, what was your comment about the universe going forward? Oh, that like I had this sense when I was on the street last night and just thinking about people and thinking about the world. Um, was that in terms of the morality, science, cosmic storyline? Yeah, I think like kind of all three. That, and I mean there are details that we can discuss, but my worldview is that the world has been on an upward trend. It has been getting better overall for the entirety of the course of human history. There have been points where it has dipped, but like so many of the ills that we had 100 years ago, and that's like a little bit of Gary V floating in. It's always funny because like there's always a philosopher that I can ascribe to the belief that I have, but those the things that were happening 100 years ago have gotten so much better. Oh goodness! And so that is where we are at. But like last night, for some reason, I felt an energy that was regressing, that was reversing. That like people, and maybe it's and I try not to read the news, but maybe it's just a general aura of what the news is. Maybe it's, maybe, I don't know, but the energy didn't feel right. And it was an awkward time being on the walking mall. And one time being out on the walking mall is no litmus test for what is the world feeling, but it's what I might be feeling about the world. Like it might be my like, and I'm still very unsettled by that overthinking comment from my friend. I know I'm rambling, but it's like I have to I don't have to necessarily resettle myself. Like I don't have to. Like people can live unsettled, but I am unsettled. I guess that's the best way to put it. I am unsettled, not in a way that is disturbing or scary. A little scary, but it's more that like and I probably will go back to this place, but 99% of people are in a place at any given point where they wake up and they know what they're doing and they do it, and then they do other things and then they do other things, they do other things, they go to sleep and they wake up, and leaving my very easily prescribed employment, which gave me a sense of place, starting my own business, combining that with the ever changing shift in what's happening in the world because of COVID-19, and then writing about that and then internalizing that with the writing. Like I've been thinking a lot about how COVID-19 has changed the world. And I realized that like there's like the rule book is chucked out, that there was that so many of the things that we assume as humans and unsettles from your previous identity in your work. And that is true. I think that there was a more grounded sense to things. Like one of the thoughts I was having is, especially kind of figuring from the Scott Adams album, like so many of the things we do as humans are based in the animalistic. Like words themselves are an invention, they're a technology, like a typewriter. Like it wasn't there before. There was a point in history, very long time ago, when humans did not use words to express. And I think I did talk about this last stream, but I was like, I'm staring at a screen of words right now. Like it's incredible how that changes. And so, what are we really? What are we when who are you really? What is it when you get down to it? But then there's tons of other questions that pop up on that. Like, should you be digging that deep? What does digging that deep mean for your own personality? Yeah, there's I'm in a weird place, and I don't want to drag anyone else down in there. Except if they want to go. Except if they want to go. What has been on your mind, Femke? What is the settling or unsettling of the world that you are feeling, if you feel so inclined to share? MK says it's a place I know. Well, it's good that I'm not alone. And then there's like this impulse of what do I do with all that? Like, I want to do a thing with it. And then sometimes there are just moments that you can't do things to solve. Like, it's not like this is not a solvable problem. This is a human problem. You know, if you are human, then this is kind of the way you this is what you're going to think every once in a while. You have joined me in missing a settled place. Maybe that's the poem that comes out of this, which I might work on in a sec. Feeling unsettled. Working through poetry has always helped me. It's one thing that I can always rest in. Yeah, I feel a lot of that. And there are some things that I definitely feel strong in. Like my relationship is going really grand. And even when it isn't, there's a sense of a rock around that. So that makes me happy, but I would like to have a new identity though, a new step forward. I have been stuck in a story. That yeah, and I think I heard a quote that I'm trying to remember, but I don't remember where I heard it. But it was something along the lines of the fact that I think it was from a song from Into the Woods, believe it or not, where it's about how that's really something. I don't necessarily want to read those comments out for if there's a replay, but it really means a lot what you're sharing, MK, and that we are having and going through this and processing and kind of talking it out. That yeah, to be able to find that identity. And it's funny because I had I still have an identity, but I had an identity, and that identity was tied to employment. And I left that. Oh goodness, sorry. And I left that, and it really put me in this place of wondering and wandering. But in wandering, there's some people that know how to make the journey the destination, and that's cool. That's cool for them. That's a part I've always had trouble with. That I have that wondering. I mean, it's good to be wondering, but and that is so poignant. Social media only shows the happy sides. I think many people have hidden stories, the real stories. And that is true. And that's one of the things I like about this stream. and I like about being on here is that I think I've kind of been able to not fall into that trap that often. Like I come on here and I get real. I hope I get real. I don't get real all the time. Where sometimes it's like, oh, I got a roll of paper. Let's type words on it and have a good time. But poetry requires us to be real, doesn't it? Unless you're going to play, like when we wrote the pun poem was playful. Pun poem was enjoyable, entertaining, pure, fun cotton candy fluff. It was good. It was good, but it wasn't real. But most of the other poetry I've written on here has been real. People that would not often talk about their past, their present, their future, and I sit there and I write for them. And I kind of bring the real in, and it takes away from the superficial notion of in a good way. It's important, but the superficial notions of art, video games, even music a bit, because it's a created moment that requires some sort of input, and so somebody has to pull something out of themselves. And what do people actually have inside themselves? Well, you can pull a surface area thing. You could be like, well, I'm doing great, and I have a dog, and that I get that a lot on the street, and that's okay. But like I had a lady last night. It was really nice. It was very positive. Like she was really very positive. And she started just talking about her life, and it was pure energy. Like I don't know how else to describe it. She was just energized as a person. But like I don't know. I mean, like you might see that on the surface if you know her, but then you don't realize that it's like goes all the way down. Like you're really, your heart is energized. Like you're looking at everything so much. People, when I ask them like, what do you want a poem about? They have to, they often default to superficial concepts, but I'll ask them deeper questions, and they'll get it, and they'll seize their heart and they'll put it out there and hold it in front of me. It's like, oh, goodness gracious, just look at the human. Femke says there's an essay on ambition by David White that may help you. It is 4 short pages. I don't have my notebook next to me, but I will remember that for when we are off the stream. I think I'm ready to write a poem about being unsettled. I think what's funny is that I was always, it's a saying for me that I need to remember that the typewriter is here for me too. It's harder to remember that because, frankly, I do it all the time, and I write and I write and I write, and then I go, well, I'm tired of writing and sitting in front. Femke is pulling some sentences from an essay on ambition from David White. The ease of having an ambition is that it can be explained to others. The very disease of ambition is that it can be so easily explained to others. What is worthy of a life's dedication does not want to be known by us in ways that diminish its actual sense of presence. What is worthy of a life's dedication does not want to be known by us in ways that diminish its actual sense of presence. Yeah, we are attracted to the mysterious. We are deeply attracted to the mysterious. And then, yeah, like, and that's part of what, like, getting into it has felt like. It's like, okay, now you're actually doing it. Like, I remember, oh, good. Oh, I remember it was I think it was about a month ago when I actually turned around and, told my wife, I was like, hey, I'd like to do this. Like, I'd like to jump in, make this full time. And we obviously had to consider family finances. Like, it's a big thing. And for my family, for me to do this. And for me to almost come off sounding like I have doubts almost seems like horrifying, but it's not what it is. It's not doubts. It's more that, yeah, I'm reaching that point where now so you got what you want. And there is a fantastic, you got what you want, and you have to, what does that actually mean? How does that make you feel? And and not that I want to get this nihilistic, but this is a truth out there, is that there's an amazing quote from the show Mad Men, from the anti-hero Don Draper, who talks about how people, they spend their whole lives chasing after a thing. They get the thing, and then they realize that that wasn't what they ever wanted in the first place. And then there's another, maybe this is a better interpretation of that quote, maybe a different direction to take it, which is what Femke just chatted. The thing that drives us, things that drive us, we rarely understand it. We just want to do it. Trying to explain it will diminish its presence. It's too big and too close to the source. You cannot grasp it. It's true. Some things are not meant to be explained. And for an overthinking, over-explaining individual, that's my problem. I get, it's so easy for me to fall into the trap of explaining everything. And I think that that's what happens. I think to bridge the two pieces is when you, there's more than one interpretation. I read it differently every time. I think to bridge the two pieces in an interesting way when you think about it too much. When you don't choose to settle, sometimes. I don't want to make that a Immanuel Kantian categorical imperative that everybody should settle. But when you choose not to settle, you will start thinking about what you're not settling about. Then you will want to wander, because you will have chased your life to get something which turns out is not what you wanted in the first place, because something you changed what you wanted by thinking about it so much. That's an idea. And I don't think I'm at risk of that. That's less what really got me into this, but it was more that I'm just kind of like, I've climbed a bunch of the rungs on the ladder, and I look down. And I went, whoa, look at how high I am. Let me do some writing. Thank you so much for sharing David White's words in the chat. or that sentence. Who needs drugs when you can think? It's a riff on what Akira's. I don't know who said it that Akira keeps referencing to, but Akira, it's a guy that said who needs drugs when you can mow a lawn, and then so it's kind of just about that, the simplicity of human experiences. But believe it or not, I hate mowing lawns. That's one thing I know about. I hate mowing lawns. But so I can't relate to that, so I've repurposed it. And then that kind of started becoming a theme. I think we've had has it been, yeah, it's been all Joseph Campbell backings today, which is pretty fitting. I escape myself, untethered from even the ground. Leaves of grass don't hold me now. I see the turtles all the way down. I see the starving and the dying. Hold the happy and the high. Who needs drugs when you can think? Even words themselves, I doubt their utterance as they cannot describe this. And I feel the bad trip tempting my wildest fantasies to the doom of the race. Unsettled as I contemplate a contemplation. I could wander the world, eat, pray, love the living shit out of it. But I am trying to take in the cosmos through a straw. I may as well enjoy the taste, plant a tree, and build my daily routine. Wow, that was helpful. That was helpful. Well, I think that really helped kind of find my center. I think that what I think that I need to recognize, and so Femke's thought and response, the boundaries of human experience used to bother me very much. Until I realized that the only reason and way in which I can exist as a human is as a particularity. Drinking the cosmos through a straw is a human experience. Otherwise, we would be an undefined part of creation. I like that a lot. And I think the greatest realization from the conversation has been for me that overthinking has its place. I got upset when my friend challenged me on overthinking. So I overthought. And I usually do a lot of overthinking. Some of it's okay, some of it's not. There's a moment to and I think that somebody that like thinking in this way is just like, I'll put that out there. It's just like a substance. It's just like a hallucinogenic or alcohol or you know weed or something like that, where you can get on it and it'll alter your reality. Like I came home yesterday, I was saying weird things to my wife. I was like, I sensed that there was this trouble in the world. That I sensed that there was an unsettledness in the world, and maybe that was true, maybe that was there, but like I was just like, I was like off on my rocker in a good way. So this was deeply, deeply helpful to be on here, and the power of one, to be able to just to have us kind of go through this unified unsettling together and find what will settle and then create art based off of it. And that is which if I bring this around, I'll be able to show you with the typewriter camera. FMK, thank you so much for being part of the stream today. I'm going to wrap it up a little early. Get a couple more Z's and rechart my path for the day. The major part of this aporia started, believe it or not, when I tried writing a strategic plan for the poetry. I was like, wow, I got to figure out everything. I will have to revisit that question, but I'm going to revisit it knowing what happened. And that was one thing that I do really appreciate so much from Akira and his music, is that I don't want to ever give up, though. Like, I'll be settled, I'll be weirded out, it'll get crazy in my head, in my heart, in my life. But something like there was a part of me that used to let that bother me for days on end when something would go wrong. It went way wrong yesterday. Like, I didn't get done anything that I really need to get done in terms of that strategic plan. But you know what? It was good. It was good because I learned about myself and I had this experience. And then I had this experience to be able to share it with you. And I hope that in your unsettling, you find what you are looking for. I hope that art can be part of that. Even on the non-request days, if you ever have a topic that kind of leads you, that you want to see the poetic interpretation of, request it from me, but also write it yourself. You still haven't figured out yet that I know that you're probably an amazing poet, and you just need to get out there and put your thoughts into verse, because your thoughts are deep. But that's my opinion, and you can do whatever you want with it. You have a wonderful day. Walking Mall Poet, signing off.